When Adam arrived home, he was met with a scene that was almost too surreal to believe. Whoa! His once pristine yard was a chaotic mess, with a thick, foul-smelling liquid oozing from his beloved tree, which now lay hacked and mangled on the ground. A nauseating stench filled the air, and a crowd of neighbors had gathered, whispering and watching in morbid curiosity. At the center of it all stood John, Adam's troublesome neighbor, his clothes and shoes drenched in the putrid liquid. The look of defiance on John's face only fueled Adam's anger. It had all started with a frantic call from Adam's wife, Georgia. She had been in the kitchen when she spotted John in their yard, chainsaw in hand, hacking away at their tree without permission. Weeks of arguments over the tree's falling leaves had pushed John over the edge. Despite Adam's repeated warnings to leave it alone, John had decided to take matters into his own hands, and now the consequences were painfully clear. The tree, though a nuisance to John because of its leaves, was much more than it seemed. Adam had recently discovered that it was rotting from the inside, trapping rainwater that had built up over months. But not just the woods. The tree was watching them. He knew that cutting it down required professional help to avoid exactly the kind of disaster now unfolding. John's reckless actions had not only caused the tree to collapse, but had also unleashed a thick, putrid liquid that drenched Adam's yard, killing the grass and creating a stench that burned the eyes and nostrils. Adam tried to stay calm, but the sight of his destroyed yard and John's smug defiance made it almost impossible. Before he could confront his neighbor, police arrived, summoned by none other than John himself, who had reported a supposed act of vandalism on his property. The irony was almost too much to bear. The officer listened as John complained about leaves and debris falling into his yard. Adam waited until it was his turn to speak and calmly explained the truth. The tree, he told the officer, had been rotting for months. Adam had been in the process of hiring professionals to remove it safely, but before he could do so, John had trespassed onto his property and taken it upon himself to cut it down. Adam pointed to the mess in his yard as evidence of John's reckless actions. The officer surveyed the scene, his expression growing more incredulous by the second. "Let me get this straight," the officer said, turning to John. "You trespassed onto his property, cut down his tree without permission, and now you're complaining about debris in your yard." John, still drenched in the foul-smelling liquids, stammered, "But the leaves! They were ruining my lawn!" His excuses fell flat, and the officer informed him that he would be fined for trespassing and vandalism. Additionally, John would be required to pay for the removal of the tree and the cleanup of Adam's yard. As the officer wrote up the report, Adam couldn't help but feel a sense of vindication. The tree had been a source of stress, but John's impulsive actions had made the situation far worse than it ever needed to be. Georgia, still shaken, clung to Adam's arm, relieved that the ordeal was finally being addressed. In the days that followed, the tree was professionally removed and Adam's yard slowly began to recover. John, chastened by the hefty fines and public humiliation, kept to himself, avoiding any further conflicts with Adam and Georgia. The couple, though grateful for the resolution, couldn't help but reflect on the chaos John's interference had caused. For Adam and Georgia, the incident was a lesson in patience and the importance of standing up for what's right, even in the face of difficult neighbors. As for John, it was a costly reminder to think twice before acting impulsively. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more unbelievable tales, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps us bring more incredible stories to life.